Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, or whatever time zone it is, wherever you're in the world, it is your Lord and Saviour. And I'm just about to put together a Discord server, so I can run a game of Vampire the Masquerade for members of the Lord by Night Discord server. If you're curious which edition it is Vampire the Masquerade 1st Edition, and I'm doing a whole video about running Vampire the Masquerade 1st Edition, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I've done these sorts of videos before. The latest one's going to appear in a corner up there somewhere. It's a massive 2-hour mega blockbuster, and it's going to be one of the best things you'll ever see, so go and check out this video after you checked out this one, of course. And I went into a lot of detail with that video, as I do with all these how to run games, like how to put together handouts, how to advertise things. I even tell you how to put out like fancy thumbnails for your adverts using Canva. But one thing I've often neglected, or rather hadn't thought about, is how to put together a Discord server so you can run TTRPGs for your friends. And I know that there are loads of videos out there because I've watched a fair amount of them, and I know there are other ones on like Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds which do a lot more doodads and gizmoids than Discord can. But the reason why I like to do things with Discord is because it's actually fairly simple, and I don't like dealing with a lot of tech, and I just do a very minimal approach, or minimalist if you want to get fancy about it, so players can easily access the information that they need, and they just feel comfortable playing on an online space without having to worry about like learning new tool sets. It's just a matter of, for most instances, reading and a little bit of typing. So this video is going to be a tutorial of how to put together a Discord server where you want to run TTRPGs, whether it's Vampire the Masquerade, whether it's Call of Cthulhu, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons, sorry, Pathfinder, Morkborg, whatever the TTRPG in question. You can put together a Discord server and have some really simple layouts and tools, and they are really super simple to set up as well, so you can run games as minimally and easily and smoothly as possible. So let's just get fucking stuck in. So assuming that you've made a Discord account and you've already been a member of some servers, it's going to look something like this. This is exactly what it looks like if you're reading this very specific announcement page on the Lord by Night Discord server, where I'm celebrating 1,000 members, which isn't half bad really. Anyway, enough of wanking my ego. If you want a bunch of Discord servers, or like one or two, you scroll down to the bottom, so your mileage will literally vary, and you have a thing here that says add a server. You click on that, and then you've got a load of templates and options to choose from. It honestly doesn't matter which one you choose because it's all going to be the same regardless, but we're going to create our own. And again, don't really matter which one you choose. So for me and my friends, for club or community, there are some features that you add with a community based server, but for the premise of this, we're just going to choose for me and my friends. Now of course, if you are setting up a Discord server that's doing like a large play by post scenario and you're going to be inviting all sorts of chuckle fucks, then you might want to choose that one. But for the premise of this video, I'm going to keep things nice and simple and just choose from me and my friends. And then you can upload a picture and then choose the name of the server name, and you probably want to choose something that's relating to that game. So as I'm running Vampire the Masquerade 1st Edition, for the time being, I'm just going to call this Vampire 1E server. Really imaginative, I know, but I can come up with a fancy name near the time, and for the time being I won't upload with a picture because we all know how to do that. You click on that, comes up the pop-up window, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, click create, and once it starts working, wowzers! It's now come up with a completely blank server, and it gives you all these little prompts and things. Just completely ignore that unless you really want to go through the checklist, but we now have a server in play. Now, the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to add in a calendar, and there are two ways that we can do this. You can add in events and then type in the times there for people to go and have a look at, but what I actually like to do is actually add in a recap channel, so it's just very obvious, because I've done events on my main server that has 1,000 members on it, and a lot of people don't fucking see it because you don't get any like visible pop-ups when an event has been added, but you do with a channel here. But because I'm autistic and like to organize things like folders within folders within folders, we're going to be putting things folders and folders. It just makes everything really neat and tidy and to have things organized, and that's what we're looking for. So it's just really simple and easy to look at. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a category, which is what folders are called. In fact, it even looks like a folder. You see what I'm doing there? So I'm going to create a category, and I'm going to call this one Recap, if I can spell correctly. And it is now created a recap folder. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to click and drag that at the top. You see that little bit of green line we got there? That's going to show where it's going to put it when I release the mouse. Wowzers! Amazing shit. And we're now going to create a channel. And we're going to call this one Calendar. And this is going to be a text-based one, just so I can put in text. It's not going to be a voice chat. Now, what I'm going to do now is that I don't want people writing in this calendar and just confusing things and just creating a load of mess. So what we're going to do here is, by editing the channel and then going to permissions and advanced permissions, I hesitated because that wasn't a thing when I had a last look at this window. Under advanced permissions, where it says role/everyone, we're now going to click that on view, leave all those as is, and somewhere down here it says send messages. So what that means is that they can view the channel, but they can't send messages. And in fact, we can go a step further than that, because I'm going to reset that. I'm going to come back to the category. So wherever it says recap here, we're going to right click and it says edit category, and we can do the same permissions things, so they can view the channels but they can't send the messages, which just saves you time from doing it with every single channel that you're working with. And save those changes, hop out of that. Now what I like to do in the recap channel is include a thing regarding the sessions. Now this is far more as a thing for my memory as it is for the players, because I know there's some groups that try and encourage group engagement by having 1 or 2 players like talk about what happened at the end of the last session. But as a neurodiverse person, autism, that plays a lot of games with other neurodiverse people with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, and the rest of it, that sort of memory recall exercise can actually be very stressful. Like, my memory is fucking shit, as I've just mentioned. So what I will do is, at the end of each session, I will just quickly jot down what happened in the previous session in bullet point forms, what players did, potential accidents or mishaps, and other little bits and pieces that players need to know. I will probably make my own channel for my own little notes if I don't write things out on bits of paper like that, and I'll show you how to do those as well. But this recap session thing just sort of helps people so they don't have to rely on taking notes so frequently. Obviously players will make their own notes of things to remember, but everything that everybody should know is mentioned here. Now, as you saw when we opened Discord, it came up with a blank text channel and a general channel. You want to keep those as are, which is just going to let people just like talk amongst themselves and share ideas and whatnot. You're going to have the voice channel. Now I'm just going to edit this as just give this a name, because I think the general voice chat just sort of might get in the way of the text one. It probably won't, but rather safe than sorry. So I'm just going to say and call this voice and vid, because the voice chats also work as video as well if you have a webcam plugged in. So it's just very clear what that is. And in fact, I'm just going to remove that outside of the voice channel and just have that within the general text, because I just like to have those as one big unit. The next thing that we're going to do is add in a category for our dice, and there are so many different dice bots out there. Like, I know there's a load of specialised ones for Call of Cthulhu, there's obviously going to be a load for Dungeons & Dragons as well. There's a few for the Powered by the Apocalypse games, so like Thirsty Sword Lesbians, Monster of the Week, Apocalypse World. There's some that are geared straight towards that, and I think there's a few for Ironsworn as well. So I'm not going to give you like huge recommendations of dice bots, you can go and find them on YouTube as well. But the one I'm going to be using is a very simple one called Dice Maiden. It's a universal dice that you have to type in the dice amount that you want, and I'll show you how to use that just to show that I'm not talking out my arse. But we're going to create a special category for that. So again, I'm going to come up here, I'm going to come and click on create category. I'm going to call this dice, because this is the category for the dice. I'm going to create the category, and it's now come down there. And I'm actually going to put that above here. I might change the order around a little bit, but I just like all the miscellaneous stuff and the more useful stuff at the top of the channel, and the more general stuff towards the bottom or the middle. Again, I may change my mind about the order of things, and you can too. You don't have to do things exactly the way that I'm doing it. So we're now going to create a channel within the dice category, and I'm going to create 2 channels in fact. The first one is going to be instructions, and I forget we don't like capital letters in Discord, so if that bothers you, I'm really sorry. So people can have like a very simple tutorial of like how to use the dice, and I'll use screenshots as well. And then I'm going to create a second one, which is actually going to be using the rolls itself. So really simple stuff, and it looks something a little bit like that. So to add Dice Maiden, or basically any fucking Discord bot or app or whatever, type in the thing you wanted to Google or your search engine of choice, add Dice Maiden bot to Discord. This is what the Dice Maiden site looks like. You then invite it to the Discord server like you're inviting a person or user. And remember that I'm wording it like this very specifically. So you click on the invite, my screen whites out, as we attempt for Discord to load back in. The screen comes up like that. Starting instructions has been invited to the server. If you've got other servers, you can invite it to that one as well. Where for this video, we're just adding it to the VTM First Edition server. It tells you the things that it can't and can do, all the permissions that it needs to do, because it writes messages into the server, so it needs to be able to view the channel, send messages in threads, which are kind of like your Reddit forum things you can do with Discord, but they're not very good. It can manage messages, i.e. its own messages, and respond to the messages, i.e. the code that you're going to put in, embed links, and read message history. Again, so it's able to read what you put in and do all the rest of it. So don't worry about all of this stuff. It needs to be able to do this to operate. You then authorize, and success. And I now may close the window or tab because it's now been added to the Discord server. But you now notice that the general tab has been lit up white, and we click on that, it tells us that welcome everyone, Dice Maiden is here. And you might want to give it a little cheeky little wave if that's an option there for you, but I'm not going to fucking bother. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that because I think it just looks fucking tatty. Now we need to tell Dice Maiden that we want it to roll exclusively in the dice category. I don't want people to be able to roll it in here. I only want people to be able to roll it in the dice category. So coming to the text channels first, we're going to right click on that, edit category. And where it says permissions, we're going to add a role or member and add one for Dice Maiden exclusively. So we're going to click on that for no, and click on that for messages. So we don't want it to view this channel, and we don't want it to send messages here. So now having done that, Dice Maiden is not going to be able to interact with this specific category as well, and I've just called that general shite because it's no longer a text channel. So we are now going to come over to the edit category channel, and with the permissions, again, we're going to add a role and a member. We're going to add Dice Maiden. We're going to want it to view the channel, and we want it to send messages in threads. Actually, no, that's not necessary. So we want it to send messages in that one and view this channel, so it's able to tell us the dice result that we want. So I've just come over to the general roll channel. The way that this one works is that all you have to do is type roll, and it comes with all these different options, and dice, and then you have to put in the exact dice that you want. It's not like a drop-down list with pop-up things like some apps do, which I know are better on tablets and phones and whatever, but this one's just really straightforward. Vampire the Masquerade and other World of Darkness storyteller system games use D10, so I may want to put like 6 D10. You do that, Bob's your uncle sends the command, and it's now told us what that result is. So we have to count them up basically. It doesn't give you the results because it's a universal dice bot, so you just have to do the adding up bit yourself. And I like it that it organises it from top to low, so ones counts as botches and they remove successes, which is why I removed one. If you're familiar with the World of Darkness games, just a little bit, because successes are usually 6 and higher. But yeah, I'm sort of going off in the World of Darkness here a little bit. But the point is, Dice Maiden is just really simple to use, and it just requires you to read some things back. And also Discord is really useful with that as well, so if you have visibility issues, you should be able to just highlight the message, right click, and it says speak message, which I won't do for you now because I've turned the volume off and we don't need to do the text-to-speech thing right now. So I'm going to get rid of that example, and I'm actually just going to quickly write out the instructions so players know how to use Dice Maiden. And I'm going to go back to the instructions and just quickly write out how to use the Maiden of the dicing world. And I'm not going to provide an example who can take screenshots so they can see what the window looks like, because if I just present as the final result, that might confuse them because there are bits of the step procedure missing. So I'm going to use that example again. Roll, typing in that, and it comes up with this particular screen. Take a little cheeky little screenshot of that, change that to example, and just work my way through that. I don't want players to be able to use this channel, I only want them to roll here so the instructions don't get lost. So I'm going to come to instructions, and we've done this before, but just as a nice little reminder, for permissions, we want them to view the channel, but we don't want players to send messages. So now the players are only going to be able to view the instructions channel, but they're not going to be able to participate in it. But Dice Maiden will. So lovely stuff. So if I need to do something for whatever reason, that's there. So with the dice sorted out, we're now going to come over to where it says create category again, and we're going to make a category specifically for the individual players. So what this will be, these will be private channels where each channel can only be viewed by each player. So the players can send all their character sheets to that channel, they can update me with anything about their character, I can send them little private messages like that, which I have felt is a little easier to manage than just sending a load of DMs to people where general chit chat's going to get lost in that. So I'm just going to make an example for myself. So I'm just going to call N for myself. I can't do words or letters apparently, and this is going to be a private channel for myself. So we're going to go for permissions, a private channel, and as you can see, members, server owner, because I'm obviously going to be able to see what everybody's doing. But what I could do here, I could add a member or role and then add Dice Maiden, for example. So Dice Maiden would only be able to view that channel, but this one is only going to be for me. In this particular example, everyone is unable to view this channel, but only I can. So it looks like any other channel, and what you can do is have like a storyteller or games master only channel, and I have little notes here, little pictures, diagrams, or any other handouts you want to put in there for people to use, rather than like having it all collected all about different folders and whatnot. You can just have everything all congregated here, but you should back up stuff as well, in case for one reason or another something goes and shits the bed. So that's how that works, really straightforward, and you obviously add as many channels as you need players. So if you've got 5 players, 5 channels. Simple stuff. And the last and final thing that I'm going to do here is create a resources category, which is a category that I fill with channels as helpful resources, whether it be handouts, character creation stuff, useful videos, and also books to purchase, because with first edition there's some optional merits and flaws that you can have, but only available in the player's guide. So if they want to do those optional things, I best include the player's guide, which looks like that fucking janky piece of shit. So I've got to give them some resources or some links to go and purchase that. It would be nice to give them some character sheets just to save them just like working out which ones to go and purchase, etc. and so forth. Now you can also include like world building and like meta plot, like lore stuff in here as well. Divide them up with like PNGs or JPEGs or like some dividers to make them look nice and fancy, or make a category devoted to that in and of itself. But I'm not going to, just because it's a small chronicle. It's based on a real city, Chicago, and players can just Google whatever they need to find for their particular characters or concept or whatever. Also, as the games master, I feel I'm going to do an adequate job and like tell them the bits that they need to know. Once again, we're going to come over to the top here where it's your server name, create a category, and we're going to call this resources. And because I don't want people to interact with this too much other than downloading links and watching videos potentially, we're going to make this again a semi-private channel. So we come over to edit category, make sure it's the right one, resources, we're going to be able to view the channel, but they're not going to be able to send messages. So the first thing I'm going to do for resources is character creation, so they can have all the little useful tidbits from the core book so they know how to make a character, because obviously they're going to be referring to the book when they're making their character, but there's a lot of page flicking about, and the freebie point and the experience point expenditure are different numbers, and people sometimes get that confused with Vampire. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to fill this out with relevant tidbits regarding character creation. The first bit with this channel is character sheets, but of course you can order them however you want, and these fillable ones are done by Mr. Gon, absolute legend within the World of Darkness community, and I'm just going to call this character sheets. Now that's absolutely fine, but if you want that to stand out a little bit so you can actually read what it is, you know, rather than being presented with a weird fucking image, what you can do here is go to the end of that, hit hashtag, hit space, and it now turns that into a lovely, jubbly title. Mwah. Lovely shit. Now it looks a bit more like this. You've got the character sheets from before, you've got character creation summary, the freebie points, and EXP. Lovely stuff. And if I wanted to give a list of the merits and flaws available, I'd add them there as well, but I'm not going to, because that's found in an optional book. So I'm now going to make a separate channel that's simply labelled Books. And again, because this is part of the resources category, people are not going to be able to add anything here. They'll just be able to view and see. And I'm going to add in 2 books. I'm going to add in first edition, the core book obviously, and I'm going to add in the player's guide, which you can get on Drive4RPG print on demand, but this is an original print that I found on eBay, so you're only going to be able to get the PDF from there. Of course, players may want the PDF, they may want both, they may just want one or the other. But the option's there so they know where to look and to get the right shit. And just in case it needs reminding, to copy and paste a link onto there, you come over to the site of your choice. In this case it's Vampire the Masquerade 1st edition. I'm going to hit on the affiliate link, so if people go and purchase that, it gives me a little bit of coinage back to support their favourite content creator. Coming back to the Discord, put in the title of the book, First edition core book. Put in that special link you've just copied over from your site of choice. Realise you've made a slight spelling error. Correct that. Hit that. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Boom! That's now there. I'm now going to do that with the other book, and it looks a little bit like that. Lovely stuff. Now, I want to include a little note with this saying that the merits and flaws are optional. I don't want people to feel that they have to choose merits and flaws, or people to panic that there aren't any merits and flaws in the book in the core book because that's what they expected. So I'm going to leave a little note here and say that merits contains optional merits and flaws. Now, I want to make this optional bit stand out, so if I highlight that, it should come up now with a little, look at that, bold, italic, strike through, quote, etc. and so forth. But another thing that you can do is highlight that, Control B or Command B if you're Mac, Windows, you know, pick your poison, bold, hit space on that again, and it looks a little bit like that. Realise the space is too much, come back, realise you made a mistake, do that, do the thing you're going to correct, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, there you fucking go. And that's really the bare bones basics of putting together a Discord server to run TTRPGs. Now, as I said, there's more you can do. You can add more categories, you can take away things, you can change what I've done, obviously. I ain't your dad, like, this is just a suggestion. Some people like to have music going on in their servers, you know, atmospheric, like sound effects sort of thing. There's a lot of fantasy stuff because D&D for most people is like the main TTRPG. So there's lots of things for that, but I don't bother with music because I find that just a bit distracting when I'm playing. But of course, players are able to add whatever they want because they've got like Spotify, YouTube, they can put in their own headphones, they can balance the volume on their own, and which I find is a little easy in trying to do the volume on specific Discord bots, at least in my experience anyway. And you can swap and change things about. For example, I'm going to put books above character creation so people can see that first, because it makes sense that you're going to view the books before you view character creation. Although I've had more than one person try and make a character without using the core book, and neither of that ended out very well. So, to recap, we have created a calendar recap channel thing, and if you're putting in the times for people in different time zones, use the site HammerTime. I'll leave a link in the description below where you put in the time that you want in your zone and you copy and paste like a specific code to put in there, so it puts it in their specific time zone wherever they are in the world and viewing it on Discord. Really useful thing. A session recap, and obviously I'm going to break that up with the more sessions, so this is going to be session 1, session 2, session 3, session 4, etc. and so fucking forth. Next, we have the dice and instructions, and we have the dice rolling channel. We have a general shite channel, or general chat, whatever you want to fucking call it. We've got, I should probably change that actually to text. Again, edit, chit chat, save that fucker, click out of that. So now we've got voice and vid, chit chat. We've got a private player character category, and I can use this as like a private ST channel, or just change the name and use it for somebody else and just add that to the number of players. And we've got resources, books, character creation, and if I want to have any other fucking handouts, I'll make one there, which I don't think I'll do for this game, but who fucking knows what may well happen. But there you have it, the bare bones basics of making a very simple Discord server to run your TTRPGs. Doesn't have a lot to it, really straightforward. I know this video's gone on for quite a long time, but I just wanted to make this as informative as I can. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are already using Discord to run their games, or using Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds and wanting to integrate the two somehow, or free or whatever, but do let me know how you use virtual tabletop games and Discord or anything else to run your games, assuming that you use electronic means outside of the traditional literal tabletop means. Let's have a nice bit of a healthy conversation, discussion about them in the description below. Do check out the books that I've mentioned using the special affiliate code, which I'll provide in the description below. Copy and paste that into any drive-through RPG book of your choice to get the book that you want, but also it supports your lore and saver to create awesome stuff like this, as a little bit of coinage goes absolutely miles when done by a lot of you. But if you can't do that, that's absolutely fine. I know times are hard on all of us, and you may prefer other means of getting your TTRPGs, which I don't encourage, of course, but times are hard on all of us, and this is a particularly expensive hobby. But the good thing with Discord is it's absolutely free to use, so anybody, including your nan, can use this with little problem whatsoever. So yeah, if you like this video and like this sort of helpful content, give me a little cheeky little thumbs up, subscribe to the Lore by Night channel, and share this video with anyone and everyone who loves what I do and also would really benefit this sort of video. And I'll see you on the next upload, whatever that may well be for you. And until next time, farewell.